Hello, and welcome to Elantum Digital's Publishing by the Numbers, where we help authors and self-publishers create quality books and build successful self-publishing businesses.
Hi, guys. Welcome to the show. This is podcast number 1. This is our very first show, which is very cool. On this week's show, this is our big introduction, guys. It's not going to take very long, but it's going to be really fun. We're going to talk about who we are, what we do, and why this podcast, and it's going to be massively fun. I'm Jana S. Brown, and these are my amazing co-hosts, Virginia Anderson and CJ Anaya. And we're going to go right into the introductions. Everybody say hi.
Hi.
Hi. All right. And we are going to start with the fashionable and fabulous Miss Virginia Anderson, who is going to explain all things Virginia to us.
Oh, thank you, Virginia. Oh,
yes, all things Virginia. Why are you into this? Why are you part of our podcast?
How long do you have? And I'm just going to put out the disclaimer there. I'm trying to be concise. I cannot be concise. It is a real disease, so I'm going to try my best. I'm a collector, so I especially like to collect books and degrees, amongst other things. So I always loved reading, and books have always been my go-to, especially in hard times. And growing up in France, a little bit of a promotion for France. I always, French literature has always been an object of national pride, and it has been one of the most influential components of the literature of Europe. So there's a real snobism around traditional publishing, and the starving artist trope is very real. And me being pragmatic, I got to be able to put food on the table. So I studied law because surely that will help me finance my shoe fetishism. Yeah, I'm telling you, I'm a collector. So after I got my French law degree, I couldn't accept the idea of being chained to a desk for the rest of my life. So I decided to study business, and I got a master's degree in business management. And then I traveled a lot and worked and lived the great expat life in different countries in Asia for quite a few years. And then I wanted a change of scenery. So I moved to Australia and went back to law school and collected another law degree. And I'm also a masochist because, that was not a penless idea. So let me just tell you.
Law school twice, man.
Yeah. Then I practiced as a corporate lawyer for about 10 years, and it became very obvious that I'm dying inside. I was dying inside slowly for a number of reasons that I won't talk about today because I can't be concise. So all this is to say that my background didn't start in the publishing industry, but I do have a passion for books and a lot of business experiences. So when the self-publishing opportunity was presented to me, it was love at first sight, and it has all the things I loved, books, business, community, creativity, and the cherry on the cake. You will find that authors are a very collaborative bunch, and there's a true spirit of community, and we really lift each other's up. I'm also very lucky to have met some brilliant people who are not only exceptionally good at what they do, but also amazing human beings. And I might or might not be referring to prison companies in particular. So this is not just a simple business. This is my family, my tribe, and I love what I do every single day. And I get every day super excited at the thought of what future holds for all of us. So that's me.
Cool. Fantastic. All right, CJ, you've had a few minutes to think. Now it's your turn to tell us, why are you here and what are you bringing to the podcast?
Okay, I'm bringing to the podcast several years of self-publishing experience. I was a traditionally published author and found very quickly that I did not have the kind of control that I wanted to have. So I began my writing journey really when one of my fellow author friends said, hey, come join this writing group, because at the time I was a singer and a songwriter, and I was like, oh, okay, is writing a book like writing a song? And she's like, why don't you just come? It's not the same. So I started in on that journey about 2014, started writing, joined the writing groups, went to all these conferences, loved it so much, got traditionally published around 2015. And then, of course, there's lack of control. And I was like, okay, well, they know better than me. And I'm sure the cover's fine, even though it looks funky. And I'm sure this will work out just fine. And okay, well, they're not really selling a lot of my books, but maybe if I present this marketing plan to them, they will take it and say, oh, thanks for doing all that work for me. And it was kind of like a rude awakening where I was like, oh no, they pretty much decided, thanks for, the marketing plan, but we know how to sell books. And I was like, then please sell mine. Please sell my books. And so eventually I got my rights back. And I thought, I'm going to do this with the marketing plan that I came up with. And it went great. I was able to publish my first 3 books in the Healer series, and I never looked back. That was in 2016. And then I learned everything I could about the indie author business, joined all of the communities that I could, continued to learn and grow when it came to not just the writing side of things and the craft side of things, but the marketing side of things, the business side of things. I really wanted to be well-grounded and well-rounded in every aspect of that. And while there are some things I won't touch with a 10-foot pole, like cover design, because I know better than to do that myself, there are other things that I really do love to do, like formatting, or just coaching people and helping them learn what I've learned along the way. So what I found, just like Virginie said, is that this community is so fabulous in its desire to help and uplift and serve one another in a lot of different ways. And so you can find the help you need and the knowledge that you need when you go looking for it, and surround yourself with people who know more than you do. And that's kind of what I love about this entire indie world. And so from there, I was like, well, I really want to learn, both sides of it. And I really want to get my master's degree. Because I'm crazy. And so I just finished up a master's degree in publishing at Western Colorado University under the direction of Kevin J. Anderson and Allison Longuera, and they're fabulous people. And hopefully we can get them on the podcast and you guys can get to know them as well. And so with all of that experience publishing under 3 different pen names, getting my master's degree and coaching other people, that's basically what I have to bring to the table, but also just my background and experience in the world of the self-published author. So there you go.
Oh, fantastic. My publishing, I'm the fairly stereotypical, wanted to do this ever since I was knee-high to a grasshopper story. So I wanted to be an author from the time that I was about 6. Grew up in a household where stories and reading and all of those things were really, really important. And we read together at night and we told stories and had grandparents who told me stories. And so story was a big, big deal. And I always had the goals as a kid that I wanted to be an author and I wanted to be a mom. And these worked together really well because I could have kids and I could write books and then I could be home. And it was this big goal that I didn't want to have to work outside of the home, but I still wanted to be able to have a career that was all mine and an identity that was all mine. And it's interesting that that was important to me when I was really little, that yes, I did want that role of mom, but I wanted it alongside of an identity that was all me. And so I always wanted to do it. I finished my first manuscript when I was about 14. And I sent it to Tor Publishing, and they wrote back a very, very lovely, nice rejection. And they were so sweet because it was not a form rejection. Somebody actually typed this. It's signed by Peter Doherty. Whether or not he actually typed it, I'm going to believe that he did because it makes me feel good. But it was along the lines of, you're very cute and you're very sweet and you've accomplished a huge thing just by finishing a manuscript. It is in no way ready for prime time because it was such a J.R.R. Tolkien ripoff, which for a lot of us, that's what our first manuscript is. It's take your favorite authors and you kind of mush mosh them together, and you don't realize just how much you're cribbing from them until somebody else looks at it and goes, yeah, that's very sweet. And it's very, very close to the original, but not written nearly as well because he was a master at the craft and you are 14. So it was really, really nice. But the best thing that came out of that was this huge amount of encouragement where he said, don't stop doing this because this is just your first one. And if you keep writing these manuscripts, you're going to have a career at this. And so I kept writing those manuscripts. When I did go to college, I emphasized editing and publication. That's what I graduated in. And so I learned also the editing side of the business and studied under Linda Adams, who is amazing. And that's where I started doing my first work as an editor. I worked for a college magazine. That was part of what you had to do as part of your practicum to get out of there was you had to go work for a magazine. So I worked for their science fiction and fantasy magazine. I am a science fiction and fantasy nerd. I am also queen of the graphic tees, much to Virginia's chagrin and dismay. And from there, I've been involved in writing always. I've been a technical writer. I have been an editor. I've been a senior editor. I've written content for web pages. I put myself through a lot of my various things. I've been paid for articles that went to Las Vegas casinos that were all about, how to play 10-card hold'em. I still remember most of the various variations of poker, but I've been paid for my writing ever since I was 17 in one way or another. And then I started doing self-publishing in 2015. And I also publish under multiple pen names. I just put out book 16. And then I've worked with dozens of authors, helping them to get their work out into the world. Because like CJ says, it's so satisfying. It's so fun to help somebody else see that same kind of success, to push the publish button with them and to be on the same screen when they go, I just published it. And it's amazing and it's so much fun. So that's what I bring is lots of background, lots of editorial background, and I love to teach. I absolutely adore teaching. So teaching and coaching is right up there on my list of things I want to do with my life. There's all of our rambling backgrounds. I'm sure that more of those things are going to come out as the podcast continues to go on. We did a version of this at one point where Virginia made sure to say, and I think this is important, that while we're here to give some education and to help people move through publishing and comment on things that are going on in the publishing industry, we also want to have fun, both ourselves, and we want you to have fun. We want you to come and go, this is an enjoyable podcast where I also learned something. Because if we're always very, very strict and very much we will stare at the screen and we will tell you very important things, you will get bored and so will we. So you're going to find that we rib each other a lot and that we want to have fun as well as what we're going forward with. Two more things that we want to cover here. And the first one I'm going to shoot back to Virginia. And that is, you can see this very lovely background and the words Elantum Digital. And so what the heck is Elantum Digital and why is it on our screens?
I'm glad you asked.
Are you really though?
Let's see after my answer. So Elantum Digital was created out of the desire expressed by our clients and fellow authors to have a place where they can ask questions, collaborate, share experiences, and learn from authors and self-publishers with real experience in the industry. So there's a lot of buzz, especially in recent time around self-publishing, especially since the pandemic. People are reading more books than ever. So a lot of marketers have jumped on this billion-dollar industry and they're selling all sorts of courses about self-publishing with many unrealistic fantasies, and they're just short from giving guarantees. So it can be difficult to separate valuable, trustworthy, up-to-date information from all the fluff, and maybe worse, misinformation. So with Elantum Digital, our aim is to create a place where we share the lessons we've learned over time, the mistakes we made, strategies that are working and current, and also bring you experts in the industry and foster collaborations. We don't believe in the idea of starving artists. So that's the idea that you cannot be a true artist if you're also making money out of your art. As you know, I'm a collector, so I need money to
pay for stuff.
To get collections. So we do see the huge business potential that is self-publishing, and we want to broadcast this opportunity to as many people as possible, regardless of the reason that brings you to us. So it could be that you want to learn how to write a book, or understand how to get your books to the world, or you just want to write a book as a passion project, or maybe you want to make a living selling your books and run a successful self-publishing business. And that's all okay. And the common denominator here is books. So, which is a very different thing than any other products. So I always like to say, we're not selling detergent. It's very specific. However, and it is a big and important caveat, if your goal is to find any business and get a get rich quick scheme, this is not it. And so you won't hear things like passive income or retirement in 6 months or very little time commitment. Even when you outsource many aspects of this business, which you can. And we also don't believe in fads, because really nothing good comes from little effort. And my motto has always been, if you do something, do it well, otherwise don't bother. And that's what we're doing here as well. Either we know what we're doing and we're going to share all our knowledge with you, or if we are not good, or if we don't know how to do it, like for example cover design, we're going to point you to the right person to do those things. It doesn't mean that you cannot publish your books rapidly. It just means that on the long run, quality will always trump quantity. So I digress. I know, trying to be concise here. So I think suffice to say, Elantum Digital's mission is to offer an affordable education to authors and self-publishers and provide quality services that are essential to any self-publisher worthy of the name, such as editing, formatting, one-on-one coaching, and so on. And last but definitely not least, it is fun spending time with us, I promise. And you will see self-deprecating at its best. And we like to have fun while working. And really, after all, life is really too short to be too serious or to spend the majority of our time on things we don't enjoy. So like Jenna just mentioned, we like to pass on our knowledge in a fun manner. So this is what Elantum Digital is about.
So now we're going to turn it back over to CJ. We're going to have her talk about the show. We call our show Publishing by the Numbers. Why? Why would we call it that? It's a strange
because
name.
Our first name we had to change.
Yes, we're going to talk about that in another podcast, guys. You'll love it.
We call it Publishing by the Numbers because you can track it by the numbers if you want to, but also it was just really catchy. And mainly what we want to do is we want people to come and to know that we are giving people practical steps. We are giving people ways in which to track things and actually do these steps to get where you want to go. We're not into abstract concepts, okay? We want to break things down so that you can learn it and then you can implement it. So that is part of what this podcast is about. Now, obviously, we've got far more detailed things that we can help you with as far as education goes. So we're going to talk about things in general terms, but mostly we really want to introduce you to people who know more than we do, because we want to surround ourselves with people who know more than us. And we hope you do too. That's how you learn. That's how you grow. We want you to learn from the pros in this industry because they're good people. The networking is great. And we think that all of these folks have quite a bit to offer. We don't know everything. We're aware of that, but we really want to get you to the places that you need to go in order to find the material that you need and to streamline this process of writing and book production and creating a really successful self-publishing business, whether it's just for your books or whether it's for several authors at one time. You know, if that's something you want to get into, then we want to point you in the right direction, and we want people to come on here and talk to you about that and help you along the way. So this podcast is also an excuse to hang out and joke around. It's the only real adult conversation I get these days. So
It's true.
all
It's true.
very selfish on my part.
Adult, it's maybe a big word sometimes. It might get not that adult, but let's see.
We'll be careful.
Let's see.
But that's pretty much what Elantum Digital's publishing by the numbers podcast is. It's all about. It's to help you guys and to have a good time doing it.
Fantastic. So there you go. That's kind of the introduction as to who we are, what it is that we're doing. Scheduling wise, you can expect to see new podcasts going up on Sunday, US, UK time, and Monday, Australia, New Zealand time. I kind of love that this is the first time I've worked in a business where I always have to think about what the date is depending on where people are. Because previously I only worked with clients in the US. And so I was thinking, up to a couple hours, Eastern's 2 hours ahead of me, Pacific's an hour behind me. And we don't go really outside of that. And now we've had this opportunity as we've gotten to know each other and done some work with some fantastic clients that we have people all over the world that are being part of self-publishing, which is very exciting, but it also means remembering that there's an international date line in the middle of the ocean. And and Virginia is always living in the future. So as long as we see her here, we know that the future is safe because the world hasn't blown up in Australia yet. So that's very helpful to us.
Really important questions that she's refusing to answer. She won't tell me.
No, it's amazing.
I think it's weird.
But so that's when you can plan on seeing us. We will have the show will be linked to the website. We'll have show notes there because show notes are very important as we hit some of these different things. And then you'll be able to find us on YouTube and also on the major podcast areas. So we should be very findable. We'd love it if you come and join us. And okay, it's now our 1 minute of completely and utterly irrelevant content. And we will have this at the end of the show. Be prepared. Virginie, what do you want to say that is utterly irrelevant?
Oh dear, pressure. So Ryan Gosling is in Australia. So by the way, I didn't mention that I'm based in Australia. So apparently Ryan Gosling is in Australia filming until December. My sources told me that. So
she has sources, guys.
I will be somewhere stalking him on this week. So okay, moving on.
Nice. Completely irrelevant. CJ, what would you like to share with us that is completely and utterly irrelevant?
Nothing nearly as exciting as Ryan Gosling. I did, however, make a trip to my local Walmart and bought a paint by numbers canvas. That seriously, this is what we do with 9-year-olds. And Chloe and I have had a very good time. So that's all. Paint by the numbers, published by the numbers.
It all works. It's a numbers game for CJ. Oh, completely irrelevant content. I am going to be making salsa because our tomatoes, which took all season, we got these huge tomato plants and they wouldn't turn. They just wouldn't turn red. Utah was having a really weird year. So suddenly in the last couple of weeks, fall has hit Utah and all of my tomatoes went from green to red almost overnight. So I have got tomatoes everywhere. So my next couple of days are going to be soaked in salsa and we'll kind of see how that goes. Any last words you want to say, girls?
No, that's it. I think we did great. Self-congratulation is something we practice a lot and we're very good at it.
We find it very important. So
it's psychologically beneficial. All right, guys. Well, thanks for joining us. You can find the show and show notes at www.elantumdigital.com and follow the podcast on YouTube or your favorite podcast distributor. If you enjoyed the show, please subscribe and leave us a review. And please tell your friends. We're welcoming everybody. Thanks, guys. See y'all later.
Bye for now.
Bye.